can a single melody echo through time, carrying the untold stories of those who played it long ago. Get ready for an emotional journey unlike any other, as we uncover how one abandoned piano's song didn't just play music, but unlocked the deeply personal, forgotten past of an entire family, proving music truly transcends generations. Welcome to Motivation Unknown People. Before we begin this incredible story of lost melodies and rediscovered heritage, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? And if you believe music carries memories across generations, hit that subscribe button and help us share these amazing stories. Romano's music store had been closed for 2 years, but the for lease sign in the dusty window had faded to a located on Detroit's east side, between a vacant barber shop and a boarded-up diner. The building stood as a monument to the neighborhood's better days. Every evening, around sunset, residents would hear it, a haunting piano melody drifting through the broken second-floor window. Always the same tune, always played with the kind of precision that spoke of decades of practice. The melody was beautiful, but melancholy, like a lullaby written for someone who would never come home. Marcus Thompson, 70, had been the store's piano tuner for 30 years before Romano's closed. When the building went empty, somehow he'd kept a key. Nobody questioned why he still showed up each evening, climbed the creaking stairs to the showroom, and played the old Steinway that hadn't been tuned in months. The neighbors had grown accustomed to his routine. Mrs. Patterson from across the street would pause her evening gardening to listen. Teenagers walking by would slow their steps, inexplicably drawn to music that seemed to come from another era. "That old man sure can play," people would say. But no one ever went inside to talk to him. Marcus always played alone, in the dim light, filtering through grimy windows, surrounded by empty instrument cases and dust-covered sheet music stands. He never played popular songs or jazz standards, just that one melody, over and over, his weathered fingers finding keys that seemed to remember him, even when everything else had been forgotten. On a Thursday evening in October, Maya Rodriguez was walking home from her violin lesson when she heard the piano. She was 17, a senior at Cass Technical High School, and had been studying classical music since she was 6. Something about the melody made her stop on the sidewalk. She knew that tune. Maya stood motionless, listening as the unknown pianist worked through phrases that seemed achingly familiar. The melody had the structure of a classical composition, but felt more personal, more intimate, like a lullaby her grandmother might have sung, which was impossible, because her grandmother had died when Maya was 3, and the only thing Maya remembered about her was the smell of vanilla and the sound of humming. But this melody, Maya was certain she'd heard it before. The next evening, Maya brought her violin and sat on the steps of the abandoned store, playing harmony to the piano melody drifting from above. She'd worked out the chord progressions by ear, and somehow, the music fit perfectly, as if it had been written for 2 instruments. Marcus heard the violin and stopped playing. For the first time in 2 years, someone was responding to his music. He walked to the window and looked down at the young woman on the steps. Her violin case opened beside her like a small altar to music. She was playing with a kind of intuitive understanding that couldn't be taught, only inherited. "Child," Marcus called down, his voice rusty from disuse. "Where did you learn that harmony?" Maya looked up, shading her eyes against the setting sun. "I didn't learn it. I just felt it. That melody you're playing, I know it somehow." "What's your name?" "Maya Rodriguez." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "Rodriguez. What was your grandmother's maiden name?" "Kowalski. Anna Kowalski. She died when I was little." Even from the second floor, Maya could see Marcus's expression change. "Come inside," he said. "We need to talk." The interior of Romano's music store felt like a tomb for abandoned dreams. Instruments sat gathering dust in their cases. Sheet music lay scattered on the floor. and everything smelled of old wood and neglect. Marcus led Maya to the piano, a magnificent Steinway grand that had somehow maintained its dignity despite the circumstances. "Sit," Marcus said, settling onto the bench beside her. "Play that harmony again." Maya positioned her violin and began the melody she'd improvised. As she played, Marcus joined in with the piano, and suddenly the empty store filled with music that seemed to have been waiting decades to be heard. "This song," Marcus said when they finished, "was written by Stefan Kowalski in 1943. He composed it for his daughter Anna before he was sent to a labor camp." Maya's bow froze in midair. "My grandmother Anna, your great-grandfather Stefan was a music teacher in Poland before the war. When the Nazis came, they took him away. He never came home. But before he left, he taught this melody to Anna, told her it would keep him with her always." Marcus opened an old leather portfolio that had been sitting on the piano's music stand. Inside were dozens of handwritten compositions, photographs, and documents. Anna immigrated to Detroit in 1947. She was 18 years old, spoke no English, had nothing but the clothes on her back and the songs her father had taught her. He showed Maya a faded photograph, a young woman with dark hair and familiar eyes, standing in front of the Statue of Liberty. "That's my grandmother," Maya whispered. "But how do you know all this?" Marcus pulled out more documents, immigration records, employment papers, marriage certificates. "Because I've been the keeper of these stories for 40 years. Your grandmother came to me in 1952 when I was working at the Detroit Symphony. She wanted to preserve her father's compositions, make sure they weren't lost forever. She never told anyone in our family about this. The war left scars. Many survivors never talked about what they'd lost. Anna asked me to keep Stefan's music safe, said someday the right person would come looking for it." Marcus placed a piece of sheet music in front of Maya. Written in faded ink were the notes to the melody she'd been hearing every evening, titled "Deli Moje Corky for my daughter." "She taught you this song when you were small," Marcus continued. "Anna used to hum it while she cooked, while she cleaned, while she held you. You absorbed it before you were old enough to understand words." Over the following weeks, Maya began visiting Marcus every evening. The abandoned music store became a bridge between past and present as Marcus shared the musical heritage Maya never knew she possessed. Stefan Kowalski hadn't just written one song. He'd composed dozens, waltzes, lullabies, folk song arrangements, even a small symphony. Marcus had preserved them all, along with letters Stefan had written to Anna before his deportation. "Your great-grandfather believed music was the only thing that couldn't be destroyed," Marcus explained as they worked through Stefan's compositions together. "Governments could burn books, destroy buildings, kill people, but a melody lived in the mind and heart. It could survive anything." Maya discovered she had inherited more than just musical ability. Stefan's compositions seemed to unlock something in her, playing a depth of emotion and technical sophistication that surprised even her violin teacher. "It's like the music was already inside me," Maya told Marcus after mastering a particularly complex piece Stefan had written for violin and piano. "Like I've been preparing for this my whole life without knowing it." Marcus nodded. Anna said the same thing. She could play Stefan's songs perfectly after hearing them just once. The music recognized her. They began performing together regularly, filling the empty store with melodies that hadn't been heard in decades. Marcus would tell Maya stories about each composition, when Stefan had written it, what it meant, how Anna had preserved it through the chaos of immigration and assimilation. "This one," Marcus said, playing a gentle waltz, "Stefan wrote for Anna's 5th birthday, and this," he transitioned to a more complex piece, "was his musical letter to his wife after they were separated." What happened to his wife? My great-grandmother, Marcus's expression grew heavy. She didn't survive the war. Anna never knew her mother. 6 months later, Maya stood on the stage of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra's community showcase. Her violin ready, Marcus at the piano beside her. The same piano from Romano's music store, which had been donated to the symphony after Maya's story became known throughout the city. In the audience sat Maya's parents, aunts, uncles and cousins, family members who had never heard of Stefan Kowalski or his musical legacy. Tonight, they would hear their heritage performed for the first time in 3 generations. Before we begin, Maya addressed the audience. I want to tell you about my great-grandfather, Stefan, who believed that music was the one thing that could never be destroyed. He wrote these songs for his daughter Anna, my grandmother, before he was taken from his family during World War II. She looked at Marcus, who nodded encouragingly. These melodies survived because one man, she gestured to Marcus, dedicated his life to preserving the musical stories of immigrants who came to Detroit with nothing but their memories. Tonight, we're not just performing music, we're completing a circle that began 80 years ago. They began with De la Moje Corky, the lullaby that had drawn Maya to the abandoned music store. As the melody filled the concert hall, Maya saw tears in her mother's eyes and watched her father lean forward as if trying to catch something he almost remembered. The performance continued with Stefan's other compositions, waltzes that told stories of celebration, lamentations that carried grief, folk songs that preserved traditions. Each piece was a message in a bottle, finally reaching its intended destination. When they finished, the audience sat in profound silence before exploding into applause. But Maya wasn't looking at the crowd. She was watching her family, seeing recognition dawn on their faces as they understood what they'd been carrying without knowing it. After the concert, Maya's mother approached Marcus with tears streaming down her face. My mother used to hum those songs, she said. I thought they were just made-up lullabies. I had no idea. ... Anna never forgot, Marcus replied gently. She made me promise that, someday, someone from your family would come looking for these songs. She said the music would call to them when they were ready. Maya's cousin, a music teacher herself, asked if she could learn Stefan's compositions to teach to her students. Another family member wanted copies of the letters. Suddenly, Stefan's musical legacy wasn't just preserved, it was alive again, growing, spreading through the family like roots finding water. A month later, Romano's music store reopened as the Stefan Kowalski Community Music Center, with Marcus as director and Maya as the first recipient of the Anna Kowalski Memorial Scholarship. The store was filled again with instruments and students, but this time they came not just to learn music, but to discover the stories their melodies carried. Maya continued to find family compositions in Marcus's collection, songs written for birthdays, holidays, moments of joy and sorrow that had shaped her heritage. Each discovery felt like meeting relatives she'd never known existed. Music doesn't just entertain, Marcus told his new students during their first lesson in the restored store. It remembers. It carries forward the things we're afraid to lose. And sometimes, it finds its way home. Maya nodded, her violin ready, surrounded by the ghosts of melodies that had waited 80 years to be fully heard again. Stefan's song had done what he'd promised. It had kept him with his daughter always. And now it would keep him with his great-granddaughter too. The abandoned piano had found its voice again. And with it, an entire family had found their song. Welcome to Motivation Unknown People. These are the moments when lost becomes found, when forgotten becomes remembered, and when we discover that some connections transcend time itself. Have you ever felt inexplicably drawn to a song, a place, or a story from your family's past? Share your experience in the comments below, and let us know where in the world you're watching from. If stories like this remind you that our heritage lives in unexpected places, subscribe to Motivation Unknown People for more incredible tales of rediscovered connections and inherited gifts. Until next time, remember, some melodies are more than music. They're messages from the past, waiting for the right moment to be heard again.